got a question from a blue belt who doesn't feel up to the standards of a new gym he's at. So basically, he was training for 4 to 5 years with one gym, one team, felt great. Training was normal, and he felt like he was right in the run with everyone else. He moved to a new city for work. It doesn't say work, but something. And I just assumed. And he says that when he goes to this new gym compared to the old gym, he feels super green. Like he just doesn't feel like he's up to the same standard of these guys that he's training with at this new gym. And so he sent me the message and was asking, if I have any advice on what this could be. Now, he did say this. He said that he's been off of the mats for about a year because of COVID, so that'll be definitely affected. But he's wondering if I have any advice on the situation. So, Kayland, I think it's your name, Kayland. Thank you for the question, brother. And so, yeah, I think there could be possibly 3 things maybe to just sort of wrap with you about. So, the first thing is we'll consider the fact that maybe this other gym, this new gym that you're at, its standard is higher than the one that you're used to be at. That happens all the time because, again, there's no standardization of techniques and everything else. And even with that, even with gyms that have standardization of techniques like judo and stuff like that, you're always going to have different levels of skill based on different gyms. People's attitudes, their work ethic, youth, all these things can factor into it. And so, yeah, it's very possible that you could be not up to the standard of the blue belts of this new gym. And if that is the case, as I've experienced in my gym numerous times, because I've had people come train with us and they would either outright tell me that they don't feel like up to the task of being a purple belt or blue belt at my gym. And I've even had guys offer to give me their belts back, which I do not do. And then I've had students where all of us noticed. We noticed that they were not up to the same level as us, right? But in that case, it's not a big deal because what typically happens is when a person like that comes into the gym, because they're wearing this blue belt or this purple belt or brown belt or whatever it might be, and they're in a room full of people that are better than them with the same skill level, they kind of rise to the occasion because, again, anytime we go into a new tribe, so to speak, we want to fit right in. We want to measure up to whatever the standards of the tribe are. And so it naturally has this thing where they're going to start holding themselves to a higher standard and they're going to raise their ability up as they're training with other people who are doing the same thing. And so what'll probably happen, if that is the case, Kalen, is that you will get better by being around all these people and by wanting to measure up to the blue belts that are inside that gym already. So that's the first thing, and that would be probably what would happen. Now, the second thing that could be going on is that you could simply be engaging in a different style of jiu-jitsu. This happens a lot where you see people, or if you've ever experienced this, where you roll with someone and maybe they have a position that you just haven't experienced that much yet, and they have an advantage over you. And then after a while, once you kind of figure the position out, the advantage is gone. You see this a lot in jiu-jitsu where people will remix positions or techniques. I say remix because very, very few positions are brand new. Most of the positions and the techniques, even if they kind of get dusted off and sort of presented as new, a lot of times aren't new. You can go back and watch old matches and you can find someone doing them. They just maybe didn't go quite as deep down the rabbit hole as someone else, right? And so a lot of times these remixed positions and techniques get kind of revamped and changed a little bit, and then people have an advantage over people with this particular style for a limited time. And then once people figure it out, it kind of goes back down. It's okay, it becomes part of the normal stuff, and then that advantage is gone. And so this could be a situation where you're going into a gym that maybe has a different style that you weren't used to, and that can be, again, throwing your training off because you don't have the muscle memory, the intuition, and the experience to deal with that. So that's another thing. And then the last thing we'll throw at you is, of course, being off the mats, for a year because of COVID could definitely be affecting your training. I guarantee it's affecting your training because, for me, if I took a month and a half off or whatever for COVID back in 2020, and I definitely noticed the difference. When I came back, my timing was off. I would have those moments where I noticed what I was supposed to do, but my body couldn't pull the trigger because my timing was off. It's like this, and here's the good news about this, by the way. Your body doesn't forget all those muscular recruitment patterns that you've developed over the years, right? So as you do jiu-jitsu, you develop these movement patterns. It's just like anything else that we do, right? And the more that you do them, the faster your body accesses those. So the way that I sort of view it is almost like a filing cabinet. The more you do a particular task or movement, the closer to the front that your body puts that little file, right? The file being the patterns, the recruitment pattern for those muscles needed, right? So it your body's taking all the different muscles required to do an armbar and then executes that. So it brings that file to the front the more that you do it. This is why drilling is so important. So what's happening probably right now as well, in addition to any of the other factors that could be going on, is that that file is in the back. Your jiu-jitsu files are back here. And as you start training, you're gonna bring them back to the front because you're telling your body, hey, I'm doing this jiu-jitsu stuff again, so I need those files readily at access for me. And so I think it's probably a myriad of things, but I think those would be 3 things to consider. The fact that 1, you could just not be up to the standard. You're probably dealing with the fact that you're running into a new style. And then you may be dealing with a situation where your timing, your mat wind, everything is just off right now. And you're in this process of sort of bringing everything back with your body, warming things up, rebooting the system, so to speak, for your jiu-jitsu. And again, hopefully some of that stuff is useful to you in your new gym, in your new sort of phase of training. But yeah, that's my answer to you, brother. And Kalen, good luck to you. And I'll talk to you guys next time.